Morning, everybody. It's Julie here. I'm here with Jeff Jarvis. I don't know why there's
Well, that's me. That's me.
Oh, it's
Sorry, that's me.
you.
I
Oh,
can chat with
okay.
folks on YouTube, but I forget to mute it.
Got it.
So, but I
Wow.
just loved
Well,
hearing your introduction twice.
well,
So,
good to see you. Michelle will be here very soon. She is on her way home, so she's running a tad late. She'll be joining us, but wanted to get started. Happy Friday, Jeff.
is there such a thing?
Is there such a thing? I feel like the weekend used to be something where you just kind of relax and not worry about stuff anymore. But although Michelle and I are gonna, we talked about this yesterday because we had such heavy topics and we were so tired of it, and we said we are going to start a. There's a joke here at Mayday about how I'm like Julie Gump, like I have these crazy Forrest Gump type stories where like I always end up like kind of on the outskirts of like celebrity dumb, not me myself, but like somehow I end up like having random interactions with famous people. And then somehow people in the chat started talking yesterday about um, their own random interactions with celebrities. So we said we're going to do a live where people can just come to the chat and tell us about their own weirdo interactions. And everybody had like straight, like
Oh, cool.
one of our viewers was in the Touch of Grey Grateful Dead video, like in the front. Remember that video? I don't know if you were a Grateful Dead guy.
Are you a deadhead?
I secretly was a bit of a deadhead.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm more of a fish head. I will cop.
Okay, that figures. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I don't know why that figures, but I would. Yeah,
it does.
I'm more into fish than the dead, but I went through my Grateful Dead phase. I can't. You know what? I was always kind of dead adjacent in that I dated guys in college who were really into the dead. So I think kind of like by transitive property, I had no choice but to be into the Grateful Dead.
So David Letterman used to call this brushes with fame, right?
Yes, but David Letterman. Well, like I have my own brush with fame with David Letterman in the sense that our kids went to school together, although they're ages apart. So I would always see David Letterman at school events. And he was always great. He would actually come to like parent.
I'm a huge fan. Yep.
Yeah, he would always come to like parent teacher stuff and just kind of sit in the back and raise his hand and ask questions like everybody else. He was just a really.
So I have hate mail from Bill Cosby.
That is like
that's
point.
Valuable.
That is actually a point of privilege. Yeah. That makes you really cool. You told me the story once, right? You wrote something bad about the Cosby Show or Fat Albert or something?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was starting Entertainment Weekly. I have hate email from Alan Thicke.
Hate mail from Alan Thicke because of growing pains? Because of growing pains?
No, because I stopped. I'm tired of being your whipping boy. When I'd make fun
what
of
were you
shows.
whipping him about?
When I was a critic and he did stupid shows and I called them stupid.
Oh, like Growing Pains? Like you were down on Growing Pains?
No, it was later. It was the later stuff he did.
Alan Thicke actually did stuff after Growing Pains?
I can't remember. I put it all on.
Wow.
But yeah. So we all have. I'm eager to hear all the brushes of fame.
Well,
is this tomorrow morning?
No, it's not tomorrow morning. We're going to schedule it for next week for paid Mayday subscribers. So you should come do it with us.
I might join in.
Because you actually have tremendous stories.
No, not as much as you, but
no, as much. You were the one who I never got any hate mail from. I got hate mail from a lot of randos, but I don't think I ever got any hate mail from like Alan Thicke. P.S. I am of that age where I thought Growing Pains was an awesome show, and of the same age where I got real. Also, the Cosby Show.
Cosby Show. I have to. Okay, this is. Well, I'll save it for the show. My admission about Cosby. Yes.
Okay. All right. Why don't we talk about the news, which is...
Where do you want to start, boss?
Well, we have a whole list here of things we talked about. I want to talk about the Saudi deal coverage. We talked about it yesterday a little bit. And I don't want to belabor the atrocity that this deal is, other than to say that we are, that clock that got us like, we're like 1 minute away from
nuclear scientists,
like 1 minute away from nuclear annihilation. We're like 0.00001 minute away from nuclear annihilation now, thanks to Donald Trump.
Yep.
And I think I wrote a very long Substack about this yesterday, doing a very deep dive on this. Like it was like 3,000 words, and again, it should not be me, but Judd Legume, who I think does excellent work. And if you don't follow Judd, you should follow Judd. tweeted out or truthed out. Oh, not truth. What am I talking about? Blue skied out. News outlets that cover the U.S.-Saudi nuclear deal without mentioning that Jared Kushner, Trump's top foreign policy advisor, is getting paid by the Saudi government. The Wall Street Journal, New York Times, AP, Reuters, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, The Guardian, Semaphore, Washington Post, Fox News, New York Post, BBC, Newsweek, MS Now. I am going to go a step further and say it's not just Jared. It's also the fact. So Jared, for people who don't know, got at least 2 million. Billion, excuse me, with the B. Yeah. He got at least 2 billion right after leaving the White House for his affinity partners, which is at the time was a totally unproven boondoggle. I mean, he decided one day he was going to be a private equity guy and got $2 billion, and from the Saudis got about, I would say, over $500 million from the UAE and others. But then he came back for more this year for a second round, and this is also not covered. The Saudis have right of first refusal effectively to invest. So I assume he's getting more from them now. But then I didn't read all those outlets, but the Trump family, the Trump organization, has made at least 10 billion with a B off of all their development projects that they're doing in Saudi Arabia with the development arm of the Saudi government. So, he who pays the piper calls the tune, and the tune is more than anybody could have ever imagined, which is that the Saudis are now not only going to be on their path to developing nuclear technology with U.S. help, but are now kicking off an arms race, because you could bet your ass that if they go nuclear, Egypt's going to go nuclear. The UAE is going to go nuclear.
Iran is not going to be stopped from going nuclear.
Iran is not going to get stopped. I mean, Iran's not going to be stopped anymore either.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Israel is nuclear.
Well, Israel's already nuclear.
Right.
But, and then this bullshit that Trump tweeted out yesterday, I guess to placate the Israelis, where he's saying, well, no, wait a second. None of this is going to happen unless Saudi Arabia normalizes its relationship with Israel. He could truth out whatever he wants, but the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, signed an agreement with the Saudis that's binding. And the only way that this gets overturned is if Congress effectively creates veto-proof majorities. And full well that's never going to happen. So this is all a catastrophe. And this is what I don't understand, and why the New York Times is not, like, I was watching CNN. I keep saying not by choice, but by marriage, because my husband watches it whenever he comes home.
You've got to retrain him.
I try. Yeah, so not by choice, but by marriage. And I was waiting because I was working all day on this column that I wrote, that I posted the following morning. And I'm like, okay, how are the networks going to cover this? And it was like the C block, the D block, and it was kind of like this happened. Nobody talked about the corruption. Nobody talked about the fact that, we all kind of say, yeah, Trump's corrupt, and we all roll our eyes and we're like, oh, isn't this a shame that he's monetizing his office? But guys, this is just beyond him being corrupt. This is now him selling out not just our national security, selling out the world's existence for billions of dollars. I mean, this is what's so dangerous about this. This is not
who he's selling it to. I mean, so Mark Jacob, who's a Chicago journalist, a former editor, sometimes points out that the New York Times didn't mention Khashoggi's murder. I didn't see mention of the fact that it was the majority of the 9/11 attackers were Saudis.
Oh, I mean, I wrote this whole thing. You should read my 3,000. I mean, look, here's the thing. Not only were the majority of the 9/11 attackers Saudis, but there is evidence that the 9/11 Commission put forth, and this is just the declassified part, where the wife of the then Saudi ambassador, remember Prince Bandar, who was all over the place after 9/11, his wife was funneling money to somebody who was effectively Sherpaing two of the hijackers around San Diego. And the fact that the Saudis, in order to stay in power, the House of Saud, allowed Wahhabism to proliferate all over the world, and funded those schools and funded that movement as long as they had a deal with the Wahhabi sects to not touch them. And the thing about the Saudis, and this is the part that should scare the shit out of all of us, even if you think that this particular Saudi royal family is not going to do anything. What is absolutely terrifying, and I haven't seen this in the New York Times either, is that the Saudis and the Egyptians and the UAE and Qatar and all of these countries are ruled by their current rulers because of the iron fist that they have imposed upon their own population.
Yes.
And we saw that happen in Egypt, right? Remember the whole Muslim Brotherhood episode in Egypt? Until
so much for the Arab Spring.
So much for the Arab Spring. But if the Arab Spring were to happen, these people would all be overthrown, because it's not like they're governing by popular mandate here. And then, God forbid, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt or their ideological brethren in Saudi Arabia which is, I understand, very, very different, so I'm not conflating the two, but get their hands on the nuclear technology that we're now providing them with.
Yep.
I mean, that's the part that's terrifying. And I don't understand why this isn't screaming in 20-point font from the front pages of every major newspaper and every single media outlet in this country.
Yeah, it's world destabilizing in a terribly dangerous way. But it's my constant refrain. There's no shock at anything. Our media are never shocked at anything. And any one of these things that you and I and Michelle talk about week after week should be huge time. Allow me, if you will, to go off on a little bit of a
Sure.
rat hole. I just finished listening to an excellent book called Hotel Exile.
Okay.
About a hotel in Paris where it's 3 phases of it. There were exiles from Germany, communist exile and Jewish exiles from Germany in this Paris hotel. Then the Nazis took it over during occupation. And then it was a hotel where, for some months, returnees from the concentration camps came through, and it's really a wonderful book. And
it's a nonfiction book.
Nonfiction book, yes.
Okay.
So it's brand new. So in the first part, it's about the exiles from Germany and the communists and the Jews in this hotel trying to create committees. Very French thing. We're going to create a committee for this or a committee for that.
Well, it's a very communist thing, actually.
Exactly, both.
Yeah.
It didn't really go anywhere, but it made me wish, Julie, for a committee to defeat fascism. And that's fanciful, I confess. But I want a pressure organization to say constantly to our media organizations and to our politicians and to our educators, would you fucking wake up? And story after story, I want a newspaper that every day uses 80-point headlines, because they're deserved. This is huge. We can go through time after time here. There's all kinds of news this week. The corruption is beyond belief, whether it's corruption or unsettling the world or causing a war or ruining the economy. These are each huge stories that don't get the attention from both media and politicians. And I want pressure on both. I want to embarrass the Democrats and I want to embarrass the New York Times with how they're soft pedaling what is a constant crisis.
I mean, I'm just looking at the New York Times headline right now, right? And there's a lot of news here that's, interesting, but one of the things on the homepage is, can I remix Madonna? Is this all legal? An AI music FAQ. Okay. And then how a grieving Trump decided to back Lindsey Graham's sister for Senate.
A grieving Trump.
A grieving Trump.
In that. He doesn't have human emotions.
He doesn't have a grieving Trump.
How do you know? If you won't call him a liar because you don't know what his intent was, how can you call him grieving when you have no idea whether he has the slightest human emotion? He doesn't. He's psychopathic.
I don't give a shit whether Donald Trump is grieving. To be honest, I kind of don't give a shit about Lindsey Graham's sister at the moment. What I do give a shit about is that Donald Trump just sold out humanity
Yes.
for billions of dollars into his own pocket.
Yes.
And why that's not in the New York Times, I don't know why I'm giving that a thumbs up. I don't mean to. But like, do I care about remixing Madonna, whether it's legal? Not particularly. You want to put it into some back section, into the arts section or whatever, the New York Times, that's fine. But there is a massive, and then people get shocked or like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? Well, friends, all of this is predictable. It's not like the signs aren't there, right? It's like all of a sudden waking up in December of 1941 and being like, holy shit, Pearl Harbor just got attacked by the Japanese. How could this possibly have happened?
So the Times had another story. I didn't put it in the list. It drove me nuts. The economy is going to the crapper. People are suffering with prices. Inflation is on the way up. And what does the Times Magazine does? It sends a writer to go to a store to buy a $160 hat and a $770 shirt. And how he felt doing that.
Yeah.
Read the room. Read the friggin' room.
Yeah. And then, is that Michelle Kinney who's here? Yes, it is. Hi, Michelle.
Yay.
Yay.
Hello.
Looking so beautiful.
Out of breath, rushing in, but
wow,
Yes,
you look so
very-
pretty, Michelle.
still looking very, yes,
Always.
I like to get myself in a full beat when I get to, have blood drawn. It's an occasion. It's an occasion, everyone. But please carry on.
Well, so what I was going to say is like, I'm looking at this, right? First of all, they have 20,000 things about the Odyssey here. The Odyssey, film review, making the Odyssey, reactions from Greece, book editions. Like, it's a freaking movie. Come on. And then here's the headline again on the homepage. In the Odyssey and Oppenheimer, Nolan knows civilization's at stake. How about not, I don't give a shit what Chris Nolan has to say about civilization being at stake. How about the fact that civilization's at stake because Donald Trump just sold out
right. The New York Times should know civilization's at stake.
Yeah.
The New York Times should be saying that every day. The New York Times should be adding that context. And it fails us.
Every time. It's unbelievable. I don't care that Christopher Nolan thinks civilization's at stake. I care about it as much as I care that I think that. I mean, like, we all have opinions, right?
Yeah.
But there are specific metrics here to determine whether civilization's at stake. A nuclear arms race in the Middle East with the most unstable governments, some of the most unstable governments on earth, on top of Pakistan, a failed state already having nuclear weapons, I would venture to say means that civilization's at stake. And yet, I have to read about it from the Odyssey. Like, it's a movie. It's a movie. This is real life.
I don't want to step on maybe something that you've already talked about, but I have not seen the film yet. I don't know that I will because I found out that a dog dies and I don't know that I want to see it.
Oh, a lot of them, I'm told.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to see it. But I will say, like, storytelling has such a unique responsibility, especially in times like this. And I think history shows that over and over and over again. And maybe this film is telling a story, but not everybody is going to point it out because not everybody got an A in English class. And so there is a responsibility, I think, from the media, or at least the entertainment media, to kind of maybe, connect the dots for people. Yeah. Or maybe even condition someone before they go into the film to maybe connect the dots while they're watching it. I also think Christopher Nolan, is a very, talented man. He makes great films. I thought the Batman trilogy he did was like the best Batmans ever. That's just my opinion. Oppenheimer, another great film, but I don't know that we needed to have a woman getting railed in the first 10 minutes, but that's just my opinion.
Didn't see it.
That was that?
Didn't see it.
I haven't yet.
Well, it was interesting to see that right after you see Barbie. I was like, okay.
Right.
Okay.
I was like, okay, these are two very different points of view of the world. But anyways, I say all that to say is, epic film, and it's not often, I think, also right that we get films like this that are doing so well at the box office, that are these kind of like epic summertime, and the release dates don't matter as much anymore. I don't know, Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it used to be, fall, Christmas was kind of like the season in which, if you wanted to be up for an Oscar or be taken seriously for an award season, that was the time, but it kind of doesn't matter anymore. So it's kind of cool to see a film be doing this well in the summer that has so many stars, that's so kind of highbrow. But all those other things that you're saying also true. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So
I
since
don't know
we're
if
on
my
the
2
Odyssey,
cents.
I
Yeah.
brought video this week. Oh shit!
Oh.
I didn't. Okay, I've got to go find the link real quick. So Elon Musk, our favorite idiot, insists that he's going to use Grok to make a historically accurate,
Yes.
so-called, a version of the Odyssey.
I
So a
have it.
historically accurate. You have it? The
Well, I
video?
have it, but I don't know how to upload it.
Do
So
you have a file?
No, I have a link to a Twitter because
link
I
to
can't
Twitter.
download it. Hold on a second, I'll get it for you. So he's promising to make this ridiculous thing. Here, I know where to find it. There it is. Found it. Okay. Just copy link. Go into email. Send to Michelle.
I have it, Michelle. I'm sending it to you right now.
Okay. Yeah, just text it to me. I'll see if it's
So what's historically accurate gods? What's historically accurate sirens? It's absurd, right? And it's purely
they're white,
racist
Jeff. They're
because
white,
he's
Jeff.
saying that Helen of Troy couldn't possibly be black, and as somebody else said, Matt Damon doesn't exactly look Greek, and so they use Grok, and there's a minute and a half. It's hilarious. It's hilariously awful. But this goes to how culture can be taken over by these jerks. This goes to the kind of stuff we may well see from Paramount and Warner Brothers soon because it's owned by the Ellisons. This is not that far away from what could be happening to our culture. And not only does it not, do what it did in the past in making same-sex marriage possible in this country, in affecting our attitudes toward race, in affecting our attitudes toward Me Too. Culture had a role in these things. But now we can see culture going, forget culture wars, culture's defeated. And this thing is just hilarious. Do you have the video, Michelle?
I'm trying to find a way to show it because I don't have my laptop plugged in.
Okay. Sorry, folks.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to drop it
doesn't
in the
matter.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, drop it in the chat.
Because I think it's pretty funny.
It's hilariously awful.
Yeah.
And they also don't look Greek either.
No, they actually look quite Scandinavian.
That's Scandinavian, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dialogue is awful. People found weird stuff. He had an airplane plug in his ear. Odysseus did. Other strange stuff. But this is where we should expect more from our culture, from Hollywood, and they ain't stepping up either, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's and again, I'm actually going to see the Odyssey tomorrow, so I'm very excited. And
In 70 millimeter or not?
Please, no.
Okay.
Those tickets are impossible to come by, like
right.
completely impossible to come by.
It's such a New York thing.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I'm not seeing it in New York, but
the fact that we even have a choice is like amazing.
yeah,
It
but
is pretty cool.
But I am seeing it in IMAX, which is great. But what I think is just fascinating about all of this is the attention that is paid to this in the New York Times. I mean, it's section after section after section after section on the front page. And I get that the New York Times is leaning heavily into culture because that's what subsidizes the news gathering aspects of what they're doing. But you guys, there really is a civilization changing development
Yes.
that's happened in the last few days, and nobody's treating it that way.
No. I put in 3 headlines that drove me completely batshit from the Times today. So one was, voters think all politicians are a little corrupt, but Trump might be pushing it. What the fuck? The most corrupt politician, forget president, politician we have ever had in this country, teapot dome scandal, whatever, and he's pushing it. That's one. The next one is Democrats prepare for possible election clashes with federal government. No, they're preparing for a stolen election and the end of democracy in New York Times, and you're not alarmed. You're not causing any problems. You're not seeing what's really happening. And then number 3, why is this not clicking? The story about J.D. Vance. Knives are out for Vance and the GOP. It goes on and it says the sustained public hostility from Vance's own side of the aisle is unlike that faced by other vice presidents in decades. Do they not recall that they wanted to hang the last one, the last GOP vice president? Are there no editors? Is there no sense? This is so. This might sound like I'm constantly nitpicking, but these nits matter.
It's the JD Vance thing. I think is. I read that story. So for people who don't know, there's a story in the New York Times today about how JD Vance. There's the knives are out for JD Vance, but it seems to be a coordinated hatchet job, and in reality, JD Vance's numbers are as good as Donald Trump's are, and this is obviously done by foreign governments, basically implying the Israelis are coordinating because JD Vance said stuff that's anti-Israel, or potentially other countries that don't like JD Vance. First of all, hats off to whoever in the Vance comm shop got the story planted.
Yeah, exactly. It's an obvious plant.
Because it's such an obvious plant. And
Right.
Congratulations to that person. You earned every dime that you got paid.
Mm-hmm.
Shame on the New York Times for writing it, because it's kind of an inside baseball Politico kind of story. But it makes JD Vance look like he's the victim of Marco Rubio or the victim of foreign governments, or everybody loves JD Vance except for whoever's orchestrating this debacle. And the reality is that JD Vance has had story after story after story come out, including one where his own Secret Service all but went on background to say that they hate him and that he's endangering his own family by doing what he's doing. And yet the New York Times credulously is like, oh, no. These are foreign plans for planting these stories. Like, I don't think the Secret Service is bought and paid for by Benjamin Netanyahu. If they are, then we got bigger problems.
They put
right?
one Secret Service agent on paid leave while they investigate him for leaking the son's helicopter trips to his soccer games or whatever. So the leak fight that was going on with Trump and his jet is also going on with JD Vance and his helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second that, Michelle.
I
second that side.
Well, there's a couple people who seem to just have all these little stories, and they just kind of come out like looking a little squeaky after every single one, and it's JD Vance and it's Jared Kushner. The two of them, they're either not mentioned or mentioned and like somehow come out looking like, oh, poor JD and poor Jared Kushner, he only gets 10 hotels instead of 20 or whatever it is. And JD Vance too, it's like, again, he's the master of doing absolutely nothing and getting stuff. Like, whether that be having a comm shop or something, planning a story, or whether that just be cozying up in whatever way, we don't know, to Peter Thiel as a young man and having the whole world handed to him, despite the fact that he's so lazy and has never done anything and has never really had a job. But he's also, and it's funny, Jeff, you were talking about the last vice president, potentially a mob of people chanting to hang him. These people never learn. JD Vance being one of them. Again, he thinks he is protected by Peter Thiel and whatever else. No, I'm special. He's not going to do that to me. When will these people learn? It's not you, JD Vance. It's not New York Times. It's not any of you. There is no amount of padding or bubble wrap that you can wrap yourself in that is going to protect you from Donald Trump's malignant narcissism and,
There's only
psychopath.
one relationship with Trump, and that's fright. Be scared of him. The MS Now had a great segment this morning. I wish I knew which correspondent did it to give credit, asking Republican congressman after Republican congressman and their men, do you disagree with anything that Donald Trump has done? And they were frightened. And they all said, no, he's perfect. He's wonderful. I don't disagree with a thing, because they're scared of him. By the way, so JD Vance is supposedly buying a house in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Why? He has a house, a very nice one with a cook and butlers and things in Washington, D.C. Do you understand? Is that what's going on there?
I guess they want a weekend house to go to, and I guess they want their own Camp David. So that's
Isn't it like in the suburbs? It's nearby?
no, it's like in horse country.
Oh, it is. Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
So helicopter away.
Yeah, it's a helicopter right away.
The other, since you mentioned Peter Thiel, Michelle, I think it's important to also point out that Axel Springer, owner of Politico, Business Insider, and now the Telegraph, which they intend to make an American brand, is giving its Democracy Award to Peter Thiel.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that because you know German media, Jeff, and you have followed this whole Matthias. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
You got to write Matthias Döpfner.
Yeah,
Döpfner.
But the head of Axel Springer, which by the way owns a lot of media outlets, including Politico here in the United States, and has a tremendous amount of influence precisely because they own Politico. And Politico, for people who don't read Politico, sets the tone for what Washington, D.C. does every morning. Political playbook is deeply, and not just political playbook, but it's deeply influential because it sets the tone for both Washington, D.C. and also in the states. They have different states playbooks as well in New York, California, New Jersey, I can go on. So, what I find fascinating about all of this is that Peter Thiel, who is also German, obviously has a relationship here, but
he's American, but he studied in Germany.
He was born in Germany, actually.
Well, that's right. He was born in Germany, right?
And what's interesting about Axel Springer's also told their reporters what to believe about Israel, told all their reporters what to believe about certain, like, if you don't support Israel, you can't work for Axel Springer. And listen, I don't care how you feel about Israel. I don't think you should have a bias one way or the other as a reporter.
Where the reporter has to sign a document saying,
your reporter has to sign I will support Israel. Like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Journalists shouldn't sign a document saying, I will support mom and apple pie. You just don't do that.
Nothing. You don't do it. You don't do it unless you're a
because mom could make poisoned apple pie. You gotta be careful.
It doesn't matter. I don't care how you feel about Israel, what good, bad, and different.
Right. Nothing.
And that's one. So that's a problem. Two is, was I mistaken that Barry Weiss now is in talks with them?
Yeah. Well, no. So two things. One, I forgot this, very important. Barry Weiss is going to give the award. She's going to do the honorarium for Peter Thiel. And what does that tell you about the world we live in? Springer tried to buy Barry Weiss. How much did she get from Paramount?
$100 million.
So it was a little bit less they were offering, I think.
But they weren't offering her to run CBS either, which that's
exactly. So I know Döpfner. He's 6'7". He's a presence. He's fluent in German, English, and French. He was a music critic. He's quite charming. He's very smart, and he's dangerous. He's very dangerous because he has these properties. And don't discount the Telegraph in this too, because the intention of buying the Telegraph is to make it a English worldwide conservative brand.
Yeah.
And so it's instructive to read German media. So Die Zeit, which is an excellent paper in Germany, and I constantly beg my friend Jochen Wegner, the editor, to translate things for the American market, had a column saying, and I quote from this let me give it her name, Francesca Bria, Thiel is not defending democracy. He is rejecting the very foundation upon which it rests, that the powerful should be accountable to the law and the governed. Instead, Axel Springer is awarding Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel destroyed Gawker. He attacks media. He attacks education. And this is whom the publisher, the owner of Politico, decides to give a democracy. That is an award, a democracy award.
Giving Peter Thiel a democracy award would be like giving a Violence Against Women Act award to Ted Bundy. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, there's nothing about this.
He doesn't believe in democracy.
No, he just says straight out.
No, he says it.
Yeah.
He says it. over and over and over again. It's
And by the
wild.
way, that is the spiritual and intellectual godfather of J.D. Vance.
Exactly. So now we go full circle.
Yep.
So they may be attacking J.D. Vance from one side, but J.D. Vance has an incredibly powerful puppet master on the other.
Yep. And
And
so,
they're
yeah.
trying to get in place for post-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think people know this, but they should know it. And I've written about this before. In 2019, J.D. Vance, before he ran for Senate, got together with Peter Thiel, his boss at the time, Tucker Carlson, a bunch of other billionaires like Rebecca Mercer, and they founded a organization called the Rockbridge Network that was going to basically be Trumpism after Trump.
Aha.
And what is fascinating about this, and I think it's important for people to know, is that that is what launched J.D. Vance's career in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Thiel had two horses he was riding. One was Vance in in Ohio. And one was Blake Masters in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And had Blake Masters won his race, it's very possible that it would be Blake Masters who'd be vice president right now and not J.D. Vance, the best thing that ever happened, because Blake Masters was also working for Peter Thiel. The whole point was that they have created, and people need to know this, it's not about Project 2025. These people, spearheaded by Peter Thiel's money, have created a very robust and very deep network that has a connection to, at the time, Viktor Orban, through him to the Kremlin, financially intertwined with J.D. Vance's co-founder in the Rockbridge Network, to the Trump sons, where they run, a private social club together, a private equity fund together. Peter Thiel's tentacles are all over all of this.
This is much more than a PAC.
Oh, this is not a PAC at all.
This is
not a PAC at all. This is not about them handing out money. This is about
network.
creating a network. It's about creating an ecosystem. They worked with evangelicals. They worked with private equity guys. They work with the Russian Orthodox Church. They work, which is the worst, one of the worst, not the religion, but the people running it are basically Putin flunkies. Working with, at the time, Orban. And look up the Rockbridge Network, or just go to my Substack and read about it, because I've written about it several times a couple of months ago. I say this all to say that Peter Thiel is deeply dangerous. And I remember how Peter Thiel first came into our consciousness. It was when he sued Gawker.
Secretly,
but he didn't
sue
sue Gawker.
Right.
He funded Hulk Hogan, who was basically his useful idiot, to sue Gawker because Gawker outed him. And because Gawker outed him, he decided to use Hulk Hogan to bring down Gawker. Now, I personally thought Gawker was a malignant force in the world, but they did not deserve to have happened to them what happened to them.
No.
That's the kind of fuck you money Peter Thiel has.
Well,
and that's how petty Peter Thiel is, by the way.
He has a lot of money, and he also knows how to use it like a scalpel, right? I mean, he's very meticulous. He's very specific with his choices. And, here again, I will remind people that this is a man who was born in Germany. His parents went to the United States for a very short period of time, then sent him, then their family went to South Africa, in Namibia. Is this right?
Namibia.
Am I saying it correctly? I say it wrong every time. In this town that has a very long name that starts with an S. And there was an article written about in 1978 in the New York Times. You can go find it, about this town and how it was being described as more Nazi Germany than actual Nazi Germany. You could go to a gas station in this town and people were still saying Heil Hitler and throwing up the salute. This is the same period of time, I did the math, that Peter Thiel would have been a young boy going to private school in this town. This was his formative years. in a country that was already abusing and oppressing an entire group of people through apartheid. And I was thinking this morning, I was like, Elon Musk and David Sachs and Peter Thiel growing up in South Africa, I wonder if they ever could have imagined that there would be this technology and that it would develop and that they would become essentially masters of the universe with such little talent and such little uniqueness. They're the most mediocre people, but they're evil and mediocre. And I think about it all the time because these white men, see us all as plebes. This is part of the whole Curtis Yarvin worldview. Curtis Yarvin, again, like we could do a whole show on Curtis Yarvin being the ideological guru for these maniacs. He has written at length about the fact that he thinks that working class people should be, peasants, and there should be this thing called network states that will take the place of countries, and there'll be CEOs running these network states. And once you, as a human being, are no longer a functioning or maybe profitable person, a member of society that can serve the CEO, your life will be ended, and your body will be turned into biodiesel that can run, your city or town or whatever, the buses and the trains.
I just want to say this, Michelle, to interrupt you quickly. Like, you sound psychotic, but I want people to understand
this is what they think.
This is real.
You're not the psychotic one. This is what they believe. Yeah. Like, it sounds psychotic, except for the fact that they believe it.
It's fundamentally eugenicist.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And you got to wonder, and I'm sorry, but you got to wonder, why would Peter Thiel's German family move to this particular town in Africa? Right? Like,
for the same reason that Elon Musk's grandparents moved to South Africa, because they were Nazis and getting run out of Canada.
But that's my whole point, right? Like, I was born in the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
If I suddenly moved to like some, Trotskyite enclave somewhere, I don't know where that would be, you might wonder what the hell I was leaving the Soviet Union for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've talked about TESCRAEL together on the show.
About what?
TESCRAEL?
No.
We've not? Oh.
Mm-mm.
Oh, all right. This ties into this. TESCRAEL is an acronym coined by Timnit Gebru, who was fired from Google for writing about AI the way she did, and Emil Torres. And they've done incredible work looking at the faux philosophies that guide these crazies. It is an acronym for transhumanism, putting chips in your head, see Elon Musk, extropianism, I forget what that means, singularitarianism, that the man and machine will emerge, I forget what the R is, effective altruism, and long-termism. And they tie all these together. That it's kind of in that order, too, that they developed. And they show very clearly the eugenicist roots of all this. And a guy named Nick Bostrom, who was kicked out of Oxford, is the kind of philosopher king of the group, along with William McCaskill, who's written books about this stuff, published by my last publisher, not Bloomsbury, but another publisher, with these crazy philosophies. And Bostrom says that we owe our allegiance to the 10 to the 54th future potential human beings, whether real or partially real after the singularitarianism comes to life. And that thus today, the people today don't really matter very much. Holocaust is a blip. Climate change is a blip. Now, these are the same people who then argue that AI could destroy humanity because they are so chest-thumping, powerful, macho stuff.
They're fine with that.
Right? And they say, we know what to do with this. We leave the power in our hands. This is, the extreme of regulatory capture. And we'll decide where resources should go. We'll decide what people should advance and what people should not. And so what Michelle laid out from Thiel's philosophy, you see those threads come through in all of this stuff. And this is so when Anthropic talks about safety, they're not talking about environment. They're not talking about education. They're not talking about jobs. They're talking about this extinction level BS.
Well, look what just happened this week with OpenAI, where they broke out and basically,
Well, even that OpenAI, it wasn't as big a deal as was painted. OpenAI had it in its sandbox without any guardrails. They gave it an instruction. It did what it was supposed to do. It has no motive. It found a way to it went into Hugging Face. It got some stuff. It found a way to do what its job was. But then OpenAI turns around. This is the sick part about it. Is kind of brags about this.
Yeah.
Look how powerful we are. It's marketing. It's marketing to get venture capital from the likes of Peter Thiel. And so what we need now? We need the sanity of a cat.
Well, but you know what, Jeff, to your point, like I have friends, actually some really friends, I have acquaintances who bought a house in Uruguay. And you're like, and I asked them, and these are affluent New Yorkers. And I was like, Uruguay, that's a random place to go. Like I've actually been to Uruguay. It's lovely, but it's not on my top 10 list of like places to buy. And I was like, what's the rationale? And their rationale is it is apparently the flourishing democracy of South America. And also the place voted least likely to be affected by a nuclear war.
Jesus.
And then, so people who have the means are planning for this. And to go back to what we started talking about in the beginning of the show, Peter Thiel apparently has now bought some like practically city in Argentina for the same reason. He also owns some sort of enclave in New Zealand. And I think also somewhere, I don't think it's Portugal, but I think it's like, I don't even know, like Malta or something. I think he's a Maltese citizen. He's trying to get citizenship in all of these different places, Argentina and Malta. Malta's not hard to get if you give enough money to the government and New Zealand and so on and so forth. And you're like, because while the rest of us, and he's been very clear, he doesn't want to live in the United States because he doesn't think it's safe anymore. Well, who's making it unsafe, buddy? You're the one who has access through Palantir to all of our records. Like, I don't know if people understand this, but Doge was not about anything other than them getting their hands on
it was a cyber attack.
It was a cyber attack on getting government sanctioned to get all of our information from our social security numbers to our medical records through Medicaid or Medicare if you're on that, and so on and so forth.
And they're keeping lists, by the way, of anybody with disabilities or mental illness or anything. I mean, like again, to the eugenicist point that Jeff was making here, like Donald Trump said that Stephen Miller, who's also part of this enclave in a way, although he's Jewish, so that'll be fun for him at some point, said that if it was up to Stephen Miller, there'd be 100 million people in the United States and they'd all be white. White supremacy is a sickness. It is a cancer, not just in the United States, but a lot of other countries, especially places like South Africa. And there's a reason why, again, these rich people have planted a flag, a white flag, no pun intended, in places in Appalachia, where people are so poor that they can't fight back, just trying to take up land like this. And it's the same tech oligarchs that have this weird, fantasy about Greenland. Why do you think that we were trying to take over Greenland? Guess who is the ambassador to not Greenland, but it's
Denmark.
Denmark. Is a guy named Ken Howery. Ken Howery is very, very good friends with Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. He is part of the PayPal mafia. He went to Stanford. I don't like this person. I could tell you why. I'm not going to tell you right now, but this man is horrible. And he's a young guy. He's like early 50s. He's the ambassador. That's no mistake. Like the weirdest people you knew in high school, the weirdest people. I'm not talking about the nerds who like just went to MIT and like went on to be like rich engineers or something. Those people are normal. I'm talking about the weirdos. They all got really rich and they were like,
They're
not the
getting
third.
their revenge.
Yeah, this is the
Revenge of the nerds.
Revenge of the nerds. Or they're like, instead of the Third Reich, we're gonna have the Nerd Reich, and we're gonna take over. And I don't like that woman, and I don't like that woman, and screw all the women, and screw all the black people, and screw all these people. and I'm going to live forever, and I'm going to invest in longevity medicine, even though that's not a thing. And can I just say something really petty, guys? Just really, like, really petty about these people. As obsessed as all of these freaks are with not dying and looking good and being fit and, pumping the blood of young boys into your body, why do they all look like they're dying?
Yeah.
Have you seen Peter Thiel lately? Oh my God. Vile, disgusting. I was like, you have all the money. I'm going to what's his face did like Chris Kardashian's facelift. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had that kind of money, I would be getting it all done. I'd be like, tuck it, fill it, do all the things. But he's like, no, I'm going to look like a sickened vampire.
He looks like Goebbels.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
Well, the other piece of this is the religion piece, where they've
Opus
not
Dei.
only the evangelicals, but also the fascinating relationship with the Catholic Church.
Opus Dei.
Exactly. And J.D. Vance, in the trope meme joke, killed a pope, but he dares to criticize the Catholic Church after being a new Catholic. Thiel goes to Rome and gives his lectures about the Antichrist. So they both, the Supreme Court is Opus Dei'd up. There's that angle as well. The economy, technology, religion. Thiel fights education. He gives scholarships to people not to go to university.
The Charlie Kirks of the world who tell everybody, no, you don't want to be smart. Being smart is stupid. And it's, I just want to play this really quick.
Yeah.
I just want, it's 9 seconds.
The Antichrist. I'm Peter Thiel, and I know about the Antichrist. Let's learn about the Antichrist today.
It just never disappoints. But the Opus Dei thing, though, and like, that's so crazy. And I consider myself like a half-seas cradle Catholic. Like, my mom's family's Catholic, but I wasn't. My dad was. It's a whole thing. Anyways, but culturally Catholic, I guess, in a way. So
You're just exuding Catholic guilt without being a full Catholic. It's a beautiful thing, Michelle.
It's in the DNA. All the things my grandmother told me that, what you should do. And I didn't do any of those things. So for JD Vance, listen, I'm not trying to disparage people who decide later in life they want to be Catholics. I'm sure there's people who realize that, I want to do that. Cool. Good. That's great. But JD Vance had a very sinister reason for doing it and joining Opus Dei. And I encourage everybody to please go find the book Opus, read about the history of this cult.
Amazing.
It is an authoritarian cult within the Catholic Church
That imprisons people.
Yeah.
Scientology-like.
Yes.
Very Scientology. Like, they cut themselves. They do like all kinds of weird stuff to each other. And again, members of the Supreme Court, Leonard Leo, who's kind of like the mastermind of the Federalist Society. So much of this is tied to Opus Dei. And I mean, you look at somebody like JD Vance, again, like, not to keep like harping on this guy, but like, I mean, he deserves it. But this is a man who has changed his legal name like 5 times. He converted to Catholicism in 2019. And by 2025 is telling the Pope, what's this and what's that?
Well,
this is not a man who knows anything about himself. He is an empty vessel for the powerful. And he's craven.
It's very interesting because Thiel, in a series of private lectures on the Antichrist last year, which got leaked, Thiel said that he was, quote unquote, very pro JD Vance. And then he shivved him, right? Thiel said that Vance may be too close to the Pope and that he had given Vance, quote unquote, feedback over time about his, quote unquote, Popeism.
Popeism? What's
adding
Popeism?
that he hoped, which, if you're Catholic, I think the Pope is
kind of the
part of
boss.
the package.
Yeah, he's like, the one.
And he added that he hoped Vance's idea of being a good Catholic meant praying for the Pope, not listening to him and much else. So Teal, who was actually not Catholic, is not really advising, he's instructing his creation, the Vice President of the United States, on how to be his kind of Catholic by ignoring the Pope. And basically, the point of this lecture was an attempt to box Vance in, right? And Vance fell for it like a charm. As a result of Teal's meddling, Vance's relationship with the Vatican has been a total mishmash of public deference and theological sparring and political tension. And he first fought with Pope Francis, who's no longer with us. First, it was over immigration. And at the time that he was fighting with Pope Francis over immigration, Vance had been Catholic for a little over 5 years, and Francis was the Pope.
You suddenly muted.
Yeah. Did you touch your mic? Is it red? Can't hear you.
The Catholic Church has intervened. Peter Thiel has intervened. Palantir is shutting up Julie.
Nope, still can't hear you, babe. You might have to like unplug, I think.
No, you're still.
Try now. Did you unplug?
For those of you on audio, you're
Maybe
missing the Julie frustrated faces.
Maybe do a little refreshy and come back. Nope. Can't hear you, babe.
You hear me now?
There you go.
Yes, there you are.
I'm back. All right. So the point is, I don't want to belabor this too much. But his fight with Francis was over immigration. And but then a few months later, he traveled to the Vatican to meet with Francis. Francis dies the next day because, of course.
He saw the face of the devil himself
and then
said, I've had enough.
And then a few months ago, after Leo, the new Pope, spoke against war and questioned just war rhetoric amid the Iran conflict, Vance said at a Turning Point event that the Pope, quote unquote, needed to be careful when talking about theology.
Yeah.
Vance added, of the Pope, if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth. He's the Pope, and you're J.D. Vance.
Yeah. Who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah,
but
you're
of course,
James Bowman.
But
Who do you think you are?
Because Vance doesn't want him listening to the Pope. So Teal doesn't want to listen to the Pope. So he's trying to play both sides. On the one hand, he needs those Midwestern Catholics to vote for him. Like, I don't believe J.D. Vance actually believes in anything. I think he just saw Ohio, white ethnic Midwestern state with a lot of Catholics. He's like, okay, I guess I'll be Catholic now. On the other hand, Peter Thiel told him he hopes he doesn't really listen to the Pope and anything. So he's picking fights. But, what I think people need to know about Peter Thiel, because I've also done a deep dive into this, is that his thinking, Peter Thiel's, is actually frightening. His lectures they're not just some random dorm room ramblings about revelation, about the Antichrist. He's drawn explicitly in this. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole for a second. On a guy named Vladimir Solovyov, who's a Russian religious philosopher and mystic, who's the year 1900, short tales of the Antichrist, imagines the Antichrist not as an obvious monster, but as a brilliant, humane, peace-promising world leader who seduces humanity with unity, philanthropy, universalism, and counterfeit moral progress. So the more leaning into what the Pope talks about, which is, again, humane, peace-loving world leader who talks about unity and philanthropy, universalism, the more that Thiel and his spiritual godfather, this Russian mystic from the early 20th century, think of as the Antichrist. He's effectively saying the Pope is the Antichrist.
He has had other candidates, Greta Thunberg.
Yes, but now he's picking a fight with the Pope. And remember, he went, and so Thiel's Antichrist lectures, which again were private, framed the Antichrist as a figure who could rise by terrifying people about existential threats, climate change and nuclear war and artificial intelligence, and then using that fear to build a one world state that stops technological progress. So who does that sound like? Somebody like the Pope, who's spoken openly about climate change and nuclear war and artificial intelligence.
Yep.
Can I go off on a weird rabbit hole for a second?
Yes.
So in my book, and plug to the Gutenberg parenthesis, there's this fun little moment, it's one sentence, that I didn't know, was that in Venice, which was the heart of publishing, in the early days, not only in Greek and Latin, but also the first Hebrew Talmud was printed by a Dutch immigrant and commissioned by Henry VIII to assist him in evaluating whether he should convert to Judaism to obtain a divorce. Play that out just for a second.
Wow.
What if Henry VIII had become Jewish?
Boy,
What
have
if
you come to the
Amazing.
right girl to talk about Henry
England-
VIII.
What if England was a Jewish nation?
You, my friend, are preaching to the choir.
Is this your brush with fame again?
No, this is my obsession with medieval and early Tudor British history. And so I am very happy. Well, it was in Britain then, it was English history. Very happy to have a whole rabbit hole that we don't have to bore Michelle with, or anybody else for that matter, unless people want to join, to talk to you about all of this. I don't think that would have happened because Henry VIII was deeply, deeply, deeply Christian, and in fact wanted Catholicism without the Pope and his version of the Church of England, which kept changing all the time. So people would kept getting executed because they subscribed to his version, and then he'd change on a dime, and then he'd execute them, and then somebody else would be like, "Wait, I agree with you," and then 5 minutes later he changes to him. But he basically wanted, much like Peter Thiel, he wanted the Catholic Church without the Pope.
Because he didn't want anybody who had power over him.
Right, right,
Yeah.
and he
And
wanted the
that-
money from dissolving the monasteries.
And that's why this conclave, when they were choosing the next pope, was so momentous. It was such a big deal because the Peter Thiel Opus Dei sort of faction was trying really hard to whip votes, if you will, to make there be like an Opus Dei friendly pope, because that really would have changed the trajectory of a lot of the power structure around the world, including the United States. So the fact that we got somebody like Pope Leo, who's an American, is their worst nightmare. It's their worst nightmare. He's kind. He's American.
He's a mensch.
He's a mensch. He's all the things. I mean, I don't know how far we are from him saying like, I'm cool with gay marriage and I'm cool with abortion. Like, you know what I'm
He's
saying?
savvy
Like,
about technology, which they think is their domain.
yes,
And his
yes.
encyclical was a brilliant
Yes.
document.
Yes, and you really just his worst nightmare. And the fact, like, sometimes I just have to take a step back from all of this. I'm like, this is all so crazy. All this shit is made up. Do you know what I mean? Like, all this stuff is just made up, and we just make this stuff up, and then it becomes the rule of the land for like thousands of years, and we fight wars over it. And here we are at the demise of perhaps humanity at the hands of this. It's just sometimes I have to take a step back.
So
and
if you
go,
take the full circle back to where we began the discussion, in
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia and possible world destruction, it's basically that no war ever ends. The Crusades, we're fighting the Crusades again. We're fighting
Yep.
the 30 Years' War again. We're
Yep.
fighting the Civil War again. We're about to enter in the Confederacy again. We're fighting World War II still.
yeah,
These
And-
wars keep coming back.
And if I might make a last ditch plea to talk about Henry VIII for a second, to
please,
Makes me happy.
Julie.
to add to what, because I gotta go, but this makes me so happy. It really wasn't about him wanting to marry Anne Boleyn. The reason they got rid of Catholicism and the Pope is they wanted to dissolve the monasteries because England was going broke
Yep.
and they needed the cash. They
The
needed the
dissolution
money.
was a huge event.
The dissolution of the monasteries was all about the money. And the
Yes.
same thing is happening now. This is all about the money. To end
Always.
where we started, we are 1 second closer to extinction because
Not because of
Donald
AI,
Trump,
but because of Donald Trump.
because Donald Trump wants money and
Because
he's
of
getting it.
men and money.
Yep, once again. So if you think sex is the reason that England went through the Reformation, it's not. By the time he married Anne Boleyn, he was already getting tired of her. She was getting older. He moved on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just say one
yes.
last thing? This is all, and we talked about this briefly yesterday, Julie, is like how so much of this is so overwhelming and so dark and so awful, and it's almost like, oh gosh, it's too much. I have too much weight to lose. I don't want to lose any of it because it's too hard. Like that's kind of what this starts to feel like, and I always encourage people to find resistance and joy, to make sure you're doing things that bring you happiness. And because it's those happiness, moments of happiness and the freedom to be happy is what we're fighting for. And that's why all of these things matter. And this is why we have to continue talking about them and find ways to be happy warriors. And there's this great line from the finale of Handmaid's Tale, which I think about all the time, where June is talking to her mother and saying, we took Boston back, but I have to keep fighting. And her mom is crying, being like, why does it have to be you? Like, why does it have to be you? And she says, Gilead doesn't need to be beaten. It needs to be broken. And that is how I feel. And I think how we should all think about the tech oligarchy, MAGA, all of these dark forces that are trying to destroy the world and destroy all of us. They don't have to be beaten. They need to be broken. So
Agreed.
may we all grab an axe and get going.
Well put, Michelle. And this veered into a direction that I didn't even.
Who would have expected?
Who would have expected?
Tescrial Catholicism and Henry VIII today.
Oh, Henry VIII. If you watch the show, you'd be expecting Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, I am.
We need to, Kevin Cox. We need to have a Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine Julie special. Oh, don't tempt me with a good time. Early plans of Jeanette history. I'm so down. All right.
So do you go to the cloisters often?
No. Why would I go to the cloisters?
I don't know. That seems like your stuff.
No,
It's like,
No,
that's
it's
Italian. No, Italian tapestry stuff. I don't really know. No.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's all Greek to me.
No, literally.
But
Okay. For people who care, LeBron James just signed with the Sixers
Oh,
for a 2-year deal.
wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. As a long hating Philadelphia sports person, I hate all Philly teams. I'm sorry to hear that, but that's okay. Because we got the Knicks, baby. All right.
That's true.
And that's that. All right, everybody. Good to see you all. And we will see you here again next week. I will be doing the show from Ithaca, New York next week.
Oh,
Yes.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And
Gorges. Gorgeous.
oh, hey, hold on a second. I just realized I will be doing the show from Elmira, New York.
Oh, you want to come over?
Oh,
I'm speaking at a Mark Twain conference.
Wow.
Because my book Hot Type has Mark Twain as a key player in it.
Excellent.
the hometown of Ernie Davis.
Michelle, you might as well just go home and the three of us can just do it
I
from upstate New York
know.
together.
Ernie Davis, first African-American to ever win the Heisman Trophy. He was he played for Syracuse. He went on to play for Cleveland for a very short period of time and then died of leukemia at a very young age. Fantastic person, Ernie Davis, legend, Elmira. They call him the Elmira Express. So just, tidbits. Central
And
New York
I
is
didn't
beautiful.
know that my roots go back to Buffalo, to that area,
Really?
because my grandfather was illegitimate, and through
I don't think we use that word anymore.
We don't. He was a bastard, and
I don't think we use that word
not either. And through my daughter working through the genealogy and so on, we tracked back my father before he died. We got to show him pictures of his actual grandfather.
Wow.
And so my name, if to use another phrase that we wouldn't use now, if my great grandfather had made my great grandmother an honest woman, my name would be Riley.
Riley.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
So we find our roots up in upstate New York.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that is correct, John. That is correct. He was number 44. We can talk all day about it.
Start Michelle on Syracuse
Yeah.
here.
You know what? Get Michelle to do a Syracuse show. I'll do my Henry VIII show. Everybody's going to be
I'll
happy.
do Gutenberg.
You could do the Gutenberg Bible show. It'd be fantastic.
There's a great movie called The Express that is literally about Ernie Davis growing up in Elmira and heading down the road to Syracuse. And it's a great film. Dennis Quaid is in it, who's actually very good. He plays the coach. Some of my friends from school. Jim Brown, my mom was saying Jim Brown was 44, but I think Ernie Davis was too. But And then he was angry that they gave him the jersey. But whole separate thing. But I actually, when I, as an alumni, was staying at a couple events for the university that Bob Costas, he did the voiceover for the trailer for the film, and we showed it. Anyways, The Express, great movie.
Nice.
Go watch it with your family.
Okay. Well, I will be seeing the Odyssey with my family tomorrow, so I will report back.
Let me know, 'cause
Yes.
I'm thinking of going next week. Yeah.
Yep. Saturdays for Sanity is in fact on tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, it is our friend Dana's birthday tomorrow.
It is Dana's birthday.
So we are going to be hopefully celebrating with her.
Mhm.
Jeff was nice enough to say that he might join us for our Chat Gump show, Michelle.
Ooh, you
'cause he's got
probably
a bunch-
have very
he's-
good Gump stories.
Because he's got some good Gump stories. And
It's like, you know what it makes me think? You remember Kathy Griffin's like stand-ups where she would tell,
Life on the
you know,
D-list?
yeah, she would tell kind of stories about celebrities being bitchy and stuff. I feel like we could do this. As long as we don't get sued, you know,
Yeah.
Um,
There's that.
for defamation or whatever. But anyways, you okay, Julie?
You have
Yes.
breaking news? Okay.
Yeah.
No, there's no breaking news. I'm sorry. I have to actually go see somebody about a rug right now, so I gotta go. Legitimately, I gotta go see somebody
Life
about a rug.
intervenes.
We never know what's gonna come out of Julie's issue. I gotta go see somebody about a rug.
But I got
It
this-
fell off a truck, you know? And,
I got
I gotta see.
friends. I got
It's
a
Jersey.
great-
It's not how it
I
operates
got
in
no,
Jersey.
it's not Jersey. I got a great deal on a rug, and I gotta go get
Facebook
it before somebody else
Marketplace?
takes it. Yes.
Yeah,
All right. So I gotta go before somebody else takes my rug.
Don't step on
watch
me.
out for those bed bugs. Sorry. Sorry.
You just
This is
pulled
why
her
I don't
down.
buy furniture from
Boy.
randos.
You
was-
literally
that was
just pulled the
mean.
rug out from under me, Michelle.
I don't know, just give it a little look, you know, like the lice check in the nurse's office. Go, there are a bit of bed bugs in here. Go, no? Okay, great.
I was so excited about this rug, and now I'm really gonna like potentially not get it because I just
No,
scared the hell out of me.
stop. It's
Your
fine.
dog will eat them all. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
My
Just
dog has
use
definitely
that
been eating
Bissell.
them. Yeah, this dog. All right. Who I'm taking with me to Ithaca, New York, because nobody else wants to take her, so I got to take her.
Oh, no.
Oh yes. So somebody's Airbnb is about to get destroyed.
Oh.
All right. Yes, rugs cannot be washed, but they could be steam cleaned. You are correct. Okay.
Shoot,
Go have a
you buy
weekend.
From Ruggable. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.